do is show you this thing here. We're going to use MobSF, which we used before, for static analysis, and you can also use it for dynamic analysis to some extent, although not all the features work as well as they should, but you can't beat the price. So you use Genymotion and use a Android 11 phone. That's what I used. I don't remember if there's some reason you have to use Genymotion instead of Android Device Studio, but I did it with Genymotion and it worked. Because for dynamic analysis, MobSF has to control your phone, and it will, and it's actually pretty cool. So here's my Genymotion, and one thing about Genymotion phones is they're all rooted, which I think is necessary. So now it's there, and you install Docker, and you run this command to launch the MobSF, which I did, thinking it might take a long time. It didn't take very long, and okay, so I ended up here, and so MobSF is up, and it starts listening on port 8000, which at one time I saw that somewhere on the screen. I don't see it now, but anyway, it is 127.0.0.1 8000. So let's open that. All right, and there it is, the MobSF screen that we've seen before. All right, now we're going to put the Genie app on the MobSF. We start with a static analysis. I should have this in my downloads folder. Let me just get to it. Downloads, Genie. There it is. Okay. So I want to drop it into the MobSF page. Okay. So there we go. Okay, there's Genie APK. And it'll take a couple of minutes to do it. And while it's analyzing, you'll see messages go by showing you what it's doing. It's decompiling the device to Java code. And with JADX, same thing we're going to do in the next project. We've done it before. They're turning it into Smalley code and analyzing it and all that jazz. So it's running all its tests, and this is a relatively small app, so it won't take too long. There, it's done. And so here you have a list of vulnerabilities, and last time that was static analysis, and that's what we did last time and used this, and it's pretty good at finding things with static analysis. But now we want to do dynamic analysis. So once you've already done static analysis, you can turn on the dynamic analyzer. And here is where, to use the Android Dynamic Analyzer, you must have certain kinds of phones set up. There are rules, and that's why I used the Genymotion. It tells you what it supports. Genymotion, Android emulator, non-production. So there are I guess you can use the Android emulator to some extent, but the Genymotion works. Anyway, that's what I did. I found out the Genymotion worked. So I start the Android Dynamic Analyzer, and it's spinning. It's trying to connect with ADB, and it should succeed. We will see. I can look at the messages here. Daemon not running, starting. Daemon started successfully. This is typical ADB launching. It should either connect or it should tell me what's wrong and say you should use this sort of emulator. Hopefully it will eventually finish connecting. See if my phone is running. Yeah, my phone is running fine, so this thing should, I don't know why it's taking so long. That's a little disconcerting. And let me skip ahead in the instructions. All right. So when your Dynamic Analyzer page opens, it'll look like this, and you'll have the ability to see the phone directly, although you don't need to. We have the phone visible, and you can do various things, and it's doing it with Frida. Frida is the instrumentation platform where it runs like a rootkit. It runs on Android, and it modifies what the API calls do. So you can, without changing an app, you can control the execution of an app. It's sort of like putting your app in a virtual machine on the phone, so you can control what happens to it. Let's see if this thing ever opened. Oh, I did. Okay, good. So we're up to Dynamic Analyzer. So now it shows me all the apps in the device, and there's only one that shows the Harvard Health app, and I think I start Dynamic Analysis here. Let's see. Yep, at this point, you click Start Dynamic Analysis. So it worked. I don't know why it was a little bit slow to get started there, but it's not terrible. So I start Dynamic Analysis, and now it will take control of the phone and take control of that app using Frida. Although, not all the things with Frida are going to work. Frida is very powerful, but it's very finicky, and it often fails. That's why I've taken out the projects that directly use Frida, because they just constantly fail. It's just very picky. Anyway, we've got the Dynamic Analyzer available, and now we can do some tests here. And one of the simplest ones we can do is the TLS security tester. There is a TLS security tester button up here. And that will check to see if the app uses correct HTTPS, which we know this app does not. So, connecting, all right. Looks like I'm having some kind of connectivity issues, which is pretty screwy to go into a virtual machine running on the same host. I don't know why it's so slow, but let me show you what it'll be like eventually. So anyway, it runs an SSL test, and it tells you what it's going to test. It's going to do a whole lot more send various kinds of wrong certificates to it and see if it'll accept any of them. And when you run that, it will give you your results, which go down here and show you what happened. So it can detect failure to use TLS. And here, it detected that all it's using is clear text traffic. This app doesn't even use encryption at all, so it's not even broken TLS. Then you can try exported activity, and this is the part I found most useful and most interesting, where, remember, we look in the Android manifest file, and you see all the activities, which are all the visible pages in the app, and you can manually launch each one of them, and it will save screenshots of them all so you can examine them. So it shows you this exported activity, which is one of the pages in the GenieMD app, and if you make an Android 7 device, then you can run static analysis of the Chinese security app that we talked about that they use to spy on people, the National Anti-Fraud Center, and this thing has like 156 activities, and you can launch them all and see them all. So it's very interesting. You get a long list of all these pages. You can see every page in the app, which is quite unreasonable. There's no reason for these pages to be open from the outside, but they're all openable from the outside, so you'll see many of them, and there's an activity here. It looks like this. Person talking to a cop, and so on. So anyway, it's good, clean fun to play with the Dynamic Analyzer, and hopefully you'll have better luck with mine. Mine's having trouble connecting, which doesn't make any sense because it's connecting to a virtual machine on the same host. So probably I just need to restart everything and not run OBS and all that jazz. But virtual machines, it's always the networking that fails. So anyway, that's what I wanted to show you for that one. So I'm going to stop this one.